climate change, that we need to act, and we have to act now. And then I'll ask Jonas to just say a couple of words about the movement.
Well, for those of you who attended the presentation, there is very little to add. And those of you who didn't, I'll simply say that I'm here to present this report, which is an update of the best science of melting snow and ice. The initiative was taken by Vice President Al Gore and myself actually 2 years ago, when we agreed to arrange together a side event to the Arctic Council Ministerial meeting in Tromsø, northern Norway, in April this year. And the side event was on melting ice not only at the Arctic, but also in at the third pole, the Himalayas, the Andes, the Alps, Kilimanjaro, and Antarctica. All melting ice and snow. What is the latest knowledge? And since Tromsø, we charged researchers under the leadership of the Norwegian Polar Institute to bring together a compelling evidence base of this trend. And we have it in front of us, and the short message here is that what we knew was serious turns out to be far worse. What seemed to be extreme scenario for sea level is now the median scenario for sea level rise. We also find documented in this report for the first time the likelihood of the fact that there is net melting from Antarctica. Up until now, that has been questioned, but it now seems to be fairly well documented. So, what are the implications? Well, as we have tried to communicate during our presentation today, the short message is that Copenhagen has to succeed. Because if you look around for side events to see what are the effects of climate change, go to this one. It shows you a very compelling case of a phenomenon which will affect livelihood for people all over the world. It's not a local issue, it's a global issue. With security implications, livelihood implications, and a lot of other implications. So Copenhagen needs to succeed. In addition, I have highlighted from this report the importance of so-called short-lived climate gases. And that means, in addition to CO2, methane, very serious climate gases, which are long up in the atmosphere, we also need to focus on very powerful climate gases, such as also soft black carbon. And this has a special effect in the Himalayas, in the Arctic. If there's one positive message from this report, is that doing something about that is it's not easy, it's manageable. So while we wait for the results of curbing CO2 emissions, we need to address the issue of methane, also black carbon, swiftly. And there are projects going on to guide us in that endeavor. And part of our effort here today has been to bring the attention to this important point.
Thank you, Jonas. And then I'll ask you Kleist, and I'll ask for opening statements, and then we have to take questions.
Thank you. I also like to thank the scientists who done this report. On Greenland side, what we have contributed to it is to host a huge number of scientists and politicians from all over the world to come and look at on the ice melting. And we have been happy to host you over the last decade. Our role has been also to drag the attention to the fact that the Arctic area is not only inhabited by polar bears or other exotic animals. In fact, there are people living in the Arctic area. My role today is also to underline that the development of the Arctic societies is really closely linked to the developments on the environment and the climate change. So besides the melting glaciers, the disappearing sea ice, and the suffering animals, we do have people who need to adapt to the new conditions. Arctic peoples living mainly off the nature is of course heavily influenced by the changes that we see. So the everyday life, all areas of society is influenced by the climate change. We hope that this conference will reach to a balanced agreement governments negotiating the new agreement will also look to the social balances which needs to be established globally. And I think this conference is a very, very good opportunity to address issues aside from the melting ice also.
Thank you, Kubik. And now to opening remarks from the scientists, Bob, and then Dawn will now come.
Thank you. I'm going to make mine fairly short because I assume most of you were at the meeting. Minister Stewart gave you some of the upcoming material in this report. You know, the IPCC came out in 2007. What is not well known is that in order to get that report out in the spring of 2007, the documentation of the published scientific reports were frozen in 2005. So there's that 18 months delay in terms of getting the material together. So we've had 4 or 5 years now to really bring it up to date. And what's important about this report is it does just that. It brings us up to date. It changes quite dramatically the sea level rise projections, largely because of both Greenland and Antarctica now contributing directly to sea level, to the point where the projections in the future are that the sources of water from the glaciers will be the dominant factor in sea level rise, where in the past it's been the warming of the waters and its expansion that has contributed to that. So the point of this report is that it brings us up to date, and as Minister Stewart says, it confirms what we knew in 2007, gives us more poignant and up-to-date, and in many cases, a message that is stronger, both in confidence and in the level at which some of these systems are behaving that are going to affect planetary systems, but most importantly, people around the world.
Thank you, Bob. Dawn?
Scientists are always a little wild, and politicians always fear what the scientists are going to say. And I would say that's with some right, because when you are observing a system that's changing so rapidly as the ice is in Greenland, then every time we average over a newer time period, we get more extreme values. The changes are simply so rapid that we have to change our values for each report we give. The big consensus reports, like the IPCC report, and like the report that we are publishing now from the Arctic Council's AMAC group about the state of the Green ice sheet, are very important in this wild game. Because here, at least, we try to take all the publications that have come since last and try to make an average value out of the numbers, so it doesn't get too wild. So I think, in general, we try to be very correct. We try to come with the best estimates, and we do need to sometimes to apologize that they are wild. It's important when scientists keep scientific, that they come with scientific reports, present them to the political system, and hope that our political system is wise enough to take the correct actions.
Well, the first thought it may come from as a surprise to you, but we prefer that you are honest and right, but if you think it's right, instead of us telling you where you should be cautious. Science are worth nothing if they're not honest. So we take questions. Yeah.
Hello, Felix von Ethical Corporation and other media. Nice to see you again, Mrs. Dora. I'm just thinking, a couple of things spring to mind. In January, I think Greenland is actually taking over the licensing rounds of the mineral development for lots of rare earth metals. Is it a good idea to encourage them to screen companies that, or allow companies in who come from